I've just really felt like there's something to say to you, something that I don't even know if I've really ever said to anyone in all the years that I've been teaching and learning. Um, Something that feels so profoundly truthful and honest that I guess I have felt vulnerable in expressing it. Just a little background, what happened for me when life fell apart as a young 13-year-old girl and my beautiful mother was no longer there and my dear father shortly thereafter died was that there was this reorganization that was laid upon my life, as often is the case, that required a reorganization. I was young. I did the best I could, but in an effort to quote unquote survive the circumstances, I put on a mask. I put on a persona that wasn't true to who I am. It was true at the time because there was something in front of me that needed to happen. And that was, how was I going to make it through all of this trauma? So what worked at one point and worked for quite a while, truthfully, I would say well into my 20s, no longer worked as I started to get older and feel things deeply. I'm a deeply sensitive person. I've always felt things through my body and through my emotions, and not always done well with that information, right? So that information would come through, it would feel uncomfortable. I'd do my best to put it away, compartmentalize it somewhere, and wasn't wasn't successful in doing so. So what that meant to my life was really that I had to do something because the suffering was so deep that I had to figure something out. So really, what I've done for most of my adult life, I'd say since I was about 30 years old, when my youngest daughter went off to kindergarten and I went off to massage therapy school, is try to reestablish this connection that is inside of me, innately, primally inside of me. It's everything I know and something I am calling my essential self. This is a term I learned through a certification program I did last year with Martha Beck, where she speaks about the difference between the social self and the essential self, and how just by growing up in families, in cultures, in societies, that we naturally align, right, with our people. Makes sense. Because we want love, we want support, we want praise, we want acknowledgement. So, how better to do that than to align and adopt, right, the behaviors and actions of those we want love from? Social self. Essential self is like, wow, that doesn't really work for me. I don't like to, let's just say, write thank you notes after somebody gives me a present. I like to write them, but I don't like to be pressed to like them. I don't like to be forced to write them. So what do I do? You know, do I write it because my mom or my somebody tells me that I should write it? Or do I wait until that feels authentic to me? Do I wait to see that person and give them a hug and tell them truthfully and lovingly and wholly how much the efforts of their gift meant to me? So there's this pull that I didn't know was there, right? So on top of putting on this mask that in my estimation was, let's not let anybody know how much it hurts inside. Okay. Moving outward, moving outward. And what I've done with my personal healing and really my professional career is to teach myself and to teach others how to go inside. It's the name of my book, right? Go inside, and not just go inside, but trust the messages of what we hear and learn from that truthful, essential self. It sounds simpler than it is. My goodness, it's been a lifelong path for me. But what I'm coming to now is that in honoring these sensations, these feelings, these stirrings, these dissatisfactions, these joyful sensations, dropping into the senses, the smell, the sight, the feel, right? What I hear, what I experience in this moment, that these are the easiest ways of connecting to myself, and that everything else I do and grow and learn in becomes a part of that connection. What I call it in my book is putting deposits into your spiritual savings account. And so what we do, right, is to continually check in with that message of, is this true to me? Or am I doing this because it's a should or have to? I don't know about you, but I do know for me that shoulds and have tos, they're not putting deposits into my spiritual savings account. They're withdrawals, and they're significant withdrawals, and they leave me feeling empty. So as I meet you today, so much of what I'm going to be talking about as we move forward is, how do we connect to our essential self? How do we not put the cart before the horse by doing all of these things, right? Self-healing practices that don't feel as though they have true meaning to this experience, that we really come to understand what it is that feels so good to us inside, and how do we do more of it? And then with that foundation, we move forward in our learning. Thank you for your time. This is so exciting for me. I hope it is for you too. I'm cheering you on.